lot. Come on, sit down, lay down. This is something I feel I talk about quite a lot in like different videos or different conversations, but I've never actually done a video specifically on it on its own. So at this time of year, and to be fair all year, you will find that people want to put pressure on you with food, offering you food, questioning you, second guessing you, forcing it on you, and with drink as well. And I think probably at Christmas time, there's more of it simply because there's more food and drink around, and it's just expected that you are to eat it all and drink it all. And a lot of the work I do with clients is teaching them how to recognise when they really want something for the right reasons and when they don't. And if they don't want it, and it's not through restriction or feeling that they don't deserve it or because it's off plan, then I teach them how to firmly and successfully stick to their guns and not be pressured by other people into eating and drinking things that they might not want to. The best scenario to use as an example is an office situation. So in offices there's constantly food around, and at this time of year there will have been Christmas food in some offices from the middle of November. Now it's absolutely true that a couple of days of not normal eating and consuming more calories and nice foods at Christmas time and alcohol isn't going to hurt your progress long term, but if that carries on for weeks and weeks, then of course it will. So something that I teach my clients about is what's important to them and when do they want to enjoy food and make food memories, and is it really because Susan in the office has forced another donut on you and it's not really something that you pick anyway, or is it being able to go with your partner and your children to a Christmas market and picking whatever you want to eat and drink? You know, we've got to make sure that we're not just eating for the sake of it, because as much as fuck it, it's Christmas, unless you want to gain a large amount of fat, there still needs to be some element of control for like the whole period of the festive time. And in office situations, like I said, there will always be food, and you'll often find that offices get into like food and drink routines. So every Wednesday lunchtime you all go for a drink, and every Monday afternoon, because you've made it through the worst day of the week, someone will bring in a box of cookies. On Tuesday it's someone's birthday, so they're bringing a cake. On Thursday someone's leaving, so you go out for a meal. And on Friday it's Fat Friday, so you get fish and chips. Before you know it, if you are trying to lose weight, you have blown a calorie deficit simply in participating in every single food occasion that the office has going on. And this is always going to happen, and it is one reason that a lot of people never get to their goals, because of situations like this. And learning how to behave in these situations and stick to your guns and keep your goal at the forefront of everything you're doing will really help. And like I said, at Christmas time, some of my clients are wanting to stick closer to plan than others, and whatever people choose to do is absolutely fine. Because there's no right or wrong way, and ultimately if you gain a little bit of weight, then it doesn't matter at all. Like, I know that I will gain some weight and it'll be fine, because as soon as everyone gets back on track and into their normal routine, any weight gained will just drop off in a few days. But it's more kind of the mental battle with these things, and when you think about it, should people really be able to have control over you for what you eat and drink? Now, I'm not saying if you go around to a family member's house and they're cooking something you don't like, to be rude and turn your nose up at it and put it in the bin. Like, that's not okay. You've got to be polite. But you know, if you're going to meals at family and friends and it's just a huge quantity and a huge amount of food, and they're expecting you to eat everything, and for whatever reason you just don't feel like it, you might not be hungry, you might have already eaten out that day at another social occasion, you might just simply not like that sort of food. Or when it comes to alcohol, For me, I have to be in the right mindset and mind frame to drink. So if I've got a social occasion that will involve drink, I quite often see how I'm feeling that morning and then decide if I'll drink later. And if I'm tired, if I've not slept well, if I'm stressed, if I've got a lot of work on, then I won't drink alcohol, because I know that alcohol doesn't serve me with any of those other issues going on, and it'll only make things 10 times worse. So I know a lot of people who gauge how they're feeling mentally and then decide if they're going to have a drink. But there's other people out there that just don't understand that, and they can't accept the fact that one time you might drink and one time you won't, and it's 100% okay. You should never be pressurised to drink alcohol, because ultimately it's not good for you if you aren't in the right headspace, and it's only going to make things worse. So my advice in these situations, whether it's, we'll go for food. So say you've gone round to a friend's house and they're cooking a big massive meal and you've already eaten out that day. So you aren't actually starving, you aren't actually that hungry, and you don't really like what they're cooking. What would probably be best, because you find in situations where other people have cooked that they might serve everyone's portions up. So whoever's plating things up, just pull them to a side and say, I've actually not eaten that long ago and I'm not too hungry, so do you mind if I just have a little portion? Because it would be rude to sit there and completely eat nothing, but having a little portion, absolutely fine. You're not going to feel stuffed full, you're not going to overeat on something that you don't really like anyway. You're going to be able to join in, so you're not going to feel like you're sat there with nothing on your plate and everyone's staring at you. If for whatever reason they put a massive portion on your plate anyway, you don't have to eat it all. You don't have to eat something just because it's in front of you. And when we're younger, it's quite often like drilled into us that you can't leave the table until you finish your plate, or you can't have a pudding until you've finished your plate. And that definitely comes back from, it comes from generations, years and years ago, where food wasn't as plentiful as it is now, and it was really expensive. And I hate wasting food. We should never waste food, especially if we don't need to. But if it's between force feeding yourself or eating something that you don't like, then I would say leave the food. You know, it's not rude to leave a small amount and just say you're too full, and it's, you know, you warned the host anyway that you weren't starving or that you didn't want to eat the whole amount or whatever it is. But stick to your guns, don't be persuaded otherwise, because if you do just eat it to please them, then they'll know that it's easy to persuade you in that situation. And another reason that people do this with food is because it can reinforce their own shit food choices. So if you're always trying to make a conscious effort to eat healthy foods most of the time, but someone in the office or a friend or a family member can persuade you with a donut every single time they want to eat one, then it's going to make them feel not as bad for the food that they're picking. And you see groups of friends do it all the time. Like, one person will say, oh, I really need to start eating better, and everyone will go for pizza, and all of a sudden they're dragged along with them. And it's like, hang on a sec, weren't you going to start dieting because you've been eating shit for the last 6 weeks? But if people can pull you off track, especially if you're making a stand and trying to eat better, it will make them feel better and happier with the food choices that they're making. And it'll make them think, oh no, actually I don't need to bother eating better myself. If I can pull this person off track who's trying, then why should I even bother? So that's definitely one reason people do it. Another reason is that people like buying other people food. Like, it's a nice thing to do, and they can see it as a way of rewarding themselves or rewarding other people. But associating reward with food, to me, is not a good way to go. I mean, yeah, obviously buy someone a box of chocolates or get someone a birthday cake in a celebration, like, that's absolutely fine. But in office situations or family situations, if you're getting routines and habits of constantly rewarding yourself with food, then that's something that you might carry through in other areas of your life that you might start doing individually on your own. And obviously we should eat to emotions sometimes, but if every time you're happy or you need a pick-me-up or something's gone well in your day, you are turning to junk food, that's not a healthy relationship to have with food. So with alcohol, say you've got a night out planned and it comes to it and you really don't fancy drinking and you just want to drive, that's always a great thing to do. Because if you're driving, obviously you can't drink. So that's a good start. And if people start questioning you, depending on who you're with. If it's close friends and family, just say, you know, I've just felt a bit stressed the last couple of days and I've got a lot on and I don't want to be hungover tomorrow. And that should be enough, because close friends and family won't want you to be overstressed or overworked. If it's, say, like colleagues and they really don't understand and they keep trying to persuade you, maybe you haven't driven and you've got a lift. Again, it kind of goes back to a similar situation with the food. You've really got to stand your ground and just explain that right now you are not drinking. And if these people want to keep questioning you and keep pressurising you, then I would say that they're potentially not people that you want to spend time with socially, because it shouldn't impact anyone else's night if you're drinking or not. And so many people I know go out and don't drink and have a great time. I quite often go out and don't drink and have a great time. And socialising and catching up with people and celebrating things doesn't have to revolve around food or drink. But the more times that you're pulled off track, the more that your goal is kind of pulled away from you by other people, the weaker you are and the more likely it is to happen again, because once it happens once, it just encroaches on you and makes you an easier target, or people will realise, oh well, they got persuaded off track last time, so I'll be able to do it again this time. And sometimes people do it with an ulterior motive and do it in like a nasty way, but quite often it's just a natural human reaction to try and share food and drink. You know, it's not a bad thing, it's not always a negative thing. But just knowing that people will eat and drink whatever they want to eat and drink, and whether you're joining in with it 100% or not isn't going to impact their social situation, their evening, their family meal, their celebration, and the fact that you're there and you're enjoying yourself and you're happier because you've stuck to what you wanted to do should, you know, be enough for them anyway. And if it's not, they're definitely not the type of people that you want to be spending time with. So I do hope this video helped, and